Hedonic pricing, or the hedonic pricing method, is used in the determination of the economic value, or used to estimate quantitative values for environmental or ecosystem services that may influence the market price of a good or asset. The advantages of hedonic pricing method. Number 1 focuses more on the customer's consumption patterns and can price fairly. Number 2 is considers both internal and external factors. Next, gives more preference to the likes and dislikes of the buyer to buy a house. Lastly, a 360-degree approach to price a particular product. The disadvantages of hedonic pricing method. Does not consider the information hidden from the house buyer to inflate the price, and does not consider the interest rates and other taxes.
How to estimate the private amenity value of forests using a hedonic land model for combined agricultural properties. Based on a case study in the Danish peninsula of Jutland, Denmark. Estimate landowners' private amenity value of forests using 4 hedonic land value models for different sizes of property. The results offer insight into the value of owning forests for the large majority of private forest owners who own small patches of land. For the method use is econometric hedonic model. It considers that both the amenity values and the production values depend on the forest characteristics, and describe the forest by its size, its mean canopy height, and the share of broadleaf trees. For the specifications of the model used, shown figure below. And the results for this case study shown as below. For the hedonic models. Small properties and large properties attract different types of buyer. People buying a small area of land are likely to be part-time farmers, or to want merely to live in a rural setting, leasing out the farmland connected with the property. Next is regression results. For all models except one, the parameter estimate for the low canopy forest is higher than it is for the high canopy forest, probably because the former captures Christmas tree production with a high yield. Mean canopy height has a positive impact on property price for all except for the largest properties. And for last one is eliciting the amenity value of forest. Quantify capitalized forest amenity value for the landowner by subtracting the expectation value of forest production from the predicted price of an additional hectare of forest on a property from Model 1 to 4. For larger properties, the property prices reflect the expected return from forestry and hunting well. Empirical modeling of commercial property market location, submarket using hedonic price model in Malaysia. In this case study, what to measure? Firstly is location. The submarket located at administrative districts in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor State in Malaysia. Second is indicator. Number 1 is information on commercial property transaction. 2, data of the transaction. 3, date of construction. 4, the plot size. 5, the building size. 6, the height of building. 7, number of floors. 8, additional variable of distance to CBD, Central Business District. Next, methodology. For methodology, OSL ordinary least square used to estimate the hedonic equation. The data obtained from National Property Information Center, NAPIC, Malaysia. After screening, 11460 property transaction is being used for the empirical modeling. How to measure the economic impact of landslide hazard by using hedonic price approach? Based on the study case in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, was extremely prone to landslides. For instance, landslides in the village of Kibanharjo result in physical harm such as slope erosion, soil loss, lower soil fertility, poor water sanitation, and damage to buildings and road infrastructure. Field survey data and rainfall records from the Meteorology and Geophysics Agency were used in this study. The Slovan formula was used to calculate the necessary sample size for the surveys. The hedonic function relates structural, neighborhood, accessibility, and environmental elements to the value of the housing unit. The study demonstrates that landslide result in greater property price discounts. The availability and price of insurance, as well as the location and the state of the real estate market, all affect this reduction. Valuation of ticket prices for First Division football matches in the Spanish League. What to measure? In this study case, the ticket price by using the hedonic price approach will be measured. For indicator, focus on the quality of opposing teams, the pre-match qualifying position, the schedule, the day of the match, the stadium facilities, the atmosphere. Next is methodology. Use a multiple regression model to calculate the forecast price. The price is calculated by using a set of variables that make up the characteristics of a football match in terms of its quality and environment. Next, create a dual model for supply and demand, and consider the hybrid model. Objective supply =sign to maximize the utility of the good. Objective demand =sign to maximize the level of satisfaction of the ticket purchasing, and find break-even point of price paid is similar to the pricing by the club. Multi-scale effects of hedonic attributes on Airbnb listing prices. Previous studies have examined the hedonic prices of sharing economy accommodation and identified a range of important attributes that influence price. Therefore, it is necessary to use the hedonic price model to accurately evaluate the series of attributes that Airbnb listings incorporate. The propose of conceptual framework for the hedonic pricing of Airbnb listings, which includes 4 aspects: functional attributes, reputational attributes, host status attributes, and locational attributes. Existing studies have confirmed a positive correlation between destination accessibility and listing prices, that is, the closer to the destination, the higher listing price. For example, every 5 kilometers decrease in the distance to a city, prices will be increased. Estimating the effects of light rail transit (LRT) system on the property value in the Klang Valley, Malaysia, a hedonic house price approach? The location for this case study is Kelana Jaya Line LRT system. The aims in this case study to estimate the effects of the LRT system on the prices of the house that located within the radius 2 km from Kelana Jaya LRT station. For the indicator, the sale price of individual houses were as many as 2,338 K house units for price structure and payment option. Next, structural attributes such as frequency, reliability, and integration. Data sources come from primary data and secondary data, which is collected during fieldwork in Klang Valley, and take 5 months. After cleaning unavailable data equal to 1,580 K unit of house observation, and the result for this study shows the positive relationship between the existence of the LRT system and house prices. Properties that are located within close proximity to the LRT station are more valued than properties that are located further away. Financial exposure to environmental liabilities in Lake Huron drainage area farmlands. A GIS and hedonic pricing approach. The purpose of this case study is to quantify the impact of environmental contamination on farmland valuation. It applies data fusion and hedonic pricing approaches to the contribution of nitrogen and phosphorus loading on farmland sales transactions. This study area is at Michigan farmland located in Lake Huron, United States Central Drainage Area delineated. Lake Huron suffers from non-point source pollution due to intense agriculture activities. For methodology, data sources in Fusion were derived from the United States departments such as acre value, GSS ergo, and Sparrow. Next is the fundamental hedonic equation used in this study. One way to operationalize this concept is by estimating a shadow price of environmental or nutrient risk on the cost of operations or revenue. The hedonic pricing model considers additional features to estimate more granularly the influence of nutrient contamination on farmland transaction value. Both nitrogen and phosphorus runoff, whether from fertilizer or agriculture land, increase farmland sale amount per acre. Cultivated land percent of parcel has a prominent effect on farmland sale amount, contributing to an increase in farmland values. The empirical evidence indicates that the sale amount per acre of farmland is influenced by nitrogen and phosphorus loading on the surrounding environment. The value of the farmland is also determined by land productivity features such as cultivated percentage of parcel and root zone depth. Sustainable urban regeneration, GIS and hedonic pricing method in determining the value of green space in housing area. The study area was conducted in Subang Jaya, which is suburban city in the Klang Valley, Selangor. Specific study area is located at USJ and Putra Heights. Methodology. Investigate the property characteristic of 50 samples of residential units. Adopt GIS technology to map urban green spaces and estimate all benefit to property value. Use hedonic price method to analyze the relationship between semi-detached property value and nearby park. The results show that to have good prices, proximity is not a vital, so as a facility provided in each green spaces nearby their houses. The rapid development and infrastructure provided in this study area catalyst the prospect buyer. The economic benefits are varying from different regions. From a regional perspective, green spaces in Subang Jaya contribute a higher total benefit of property increment. Examining key macroeconomic determinants of serviced apartments price index, the case of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The purpose of this study is to examine the impacts of macroeconomic determinants, namely, gross domestic product, GDP, consumer confidence index, CF, existing stocks, ES, incoming supply, IS, and completed project, CP, on serviced apartment price changes. Methodology. For this case study, the sample obtained contains 1,567 transaction data from the year 2009 to 2018. Information such as transaction price, physical, location, and legal attributes for each transacted data was collected in this study. The result of this case study. The price variation of serviced apartments was found influenced by factors such as built-up area, number of rooms, tenure, and location. The government can predict the price movement of serviced apartments and impose some measures to maintain the balance between supply and demand. The purposes of this study is Malaysia against macroeconomics issues such as gross domestic product, GDP, exchange rate, unemployment, and wage. Methodology of this study is multiple linear regression, had been adopted to find the relationship between the dependent and independent variables. The indicator: 1. Residential property price. 2. Economic growth. 3. Exchange rate. 4. Wages. 5. Unemployment. The Hedonic price model has been adopted as an econometric model for this research to investigate the relationship between residential real estate prices compared to macroeconomic indicators. The findings of this study show positive and negative relationships between dependent and independent variables. The results show that GDP has a significant positive effect on residential real estate prices, while the exchange rate does not have a significant effect on residential real estate prices, although it is positive.